Here's how I started with Dreams. I heard about it, and I was like, you know, this sounds like a fucking failure. Who the fuck is going to want to do this, right? So Dreams, if you don't know, it's the newest game from Media Molecule. Those are the guys who made Little Big Planet 1, Little Big Planet 2, an amazing developer that Sony acquired a couple of years back. So in essence, Dreams, it's a game creation tool. It goes well beyond the already complicated game creation tools of Little Big Planet, which were pretty damn impressive. But Dreams lets players, or I guess you're called you're a dreamer is what they call you, but it lets you create 3D games, multiplayer online games, and even VR games. And as cool as that sounds, it is a beast of a program to learn. It's like a junior version of the Unreal Engine, which is already complicated enough, and then it asks you to manipulate this engine with the DualShock controller or the Move controllers, and it's just a frustrating mess of a task that only the most hardcore gamers or dreamers are going to care to learn. So I'm looking at this thing and I'm going, well, it looks amazing, super fucking high quality. It's Media Molecule, all they do is quality. But this thing ain't going to move units. It's not selling copies. This thing is going to bomb. This is what I'm thinking. What's weird, though, is when the public access came out, I, like everybody else, I think, was blown away by a lot of the things I was seeing in GIFs on the internet, people building really cool scenes and characters and beautiful art and versions of pro games that they were building in Dreams. It was like, holy cow, my initial take was wrong. This is fucking insane and super fucking cool. And it remains so. It is absolutely super fucking cool. But the proof is in the playing, and once you get over the first blush of, holy cow, fans are creating this shit with this amazing tool, you're left with the question of, okay, after that initial romance wears off, are people making fun stuff in Dreams? So the other night, I said, you know what I'm going to do? I want to spend a little time, and I want to look at some of the best of what Dreams has to offer. And so you can go to a section of the game called Media Molecule Picks, and there are games, and there's about 81 games in here. And I just started exploring and trying to see what sort of the state of the art was. These are actually games picked by Media Molecule, the developer, to show off the very best of what you can do with this tool. And it's impressive as fuck. Amazing looking games, amazing achievements on the part of small teams using this, what I consider a very cumbersome tool. Some really cool conceptual things visually to look at, like a neat world and stuff. But ultimately, really kind of dry and boring and uninteresting. I was curious if other people were having similar experiences. This is a guy who makes a video every month of kind of some of the coolest stuff that he's seeing out on Dreams, right? So I think anybody who looks at this and says, holy shit, a fan made that, that's fucking cool. That's fucking awesome that a fan could just sit down, either himself or a handful of people, and put something like this together. It is beyond impressive. It is absolutely cool as fuck. This one looks really cool. It's kind of like a horror, arty-farty fucking game. But what's interesting about this is really what it does is it points out why I think this is going to fail. Even if they do the most obvious thing that they should do, and maybe they're planning on doing, which is to say they're going to come out with a way to play these games on the PS4 if you don't have Dreams. Even if they do that, the problem is making video games is exceptionally difficult. And making video games good, it's really fucking hard. And so they've given people the tools, but every single game I played, I was bored with after about 5 minutes. Because ultimately, it's one thing to learn the tools and either ape someone else's game or figure out how to build a level that looks really cool and all this shit. But to really understand interactivity and to enjoy the process of wrestling with interactivity to create something that is engaging, if you're capable of doing that, you're not working in Dreams. You might start in Dreams and then you're going to go, what the fuck? I'm pretty good at this. I'm going to get myself a copy of Unity Or if I can't afford Unity, I'm going to get myself a copy of Game Maker. Why in the world would I be making games for this incredibly limited audience? But that's rare. I've never seen a game on Dreams that actually makes me feel that way. Most of the games on Dreams are like, hey, that's impressive. Somebody could create that in this tool. But end of the day, I don't want to fucking play it for more than 10 minutes. I'm playing right now, I'm going back and playing Doom from 2016. That game was calling me today when I was procrastinating. Even though I spent some time last night playing a bunch of these games. There wasn't one game that I'm like, oh, I don't know, I could either play Doom 2016 again because I'm excited for Doom Eternal, or nope, I'm going to go play some of these fucking, they feel like public access. It's public access games. So let me cut off the commenters at the pass real quick. I can hear some commenters already saying, Jaffe, that's absurd. You're comparing a $40, $50, $60 million game with hundreds of people on staff, tons of experience, with a little game made in Dreams by one or two people. Are you a fucking moron? No, I'm not, because I think what you're doing is you're missing the point. The point is not, is Doom 2016 a more polished, complete, full experience? Of course it is, for the reasons that you just are accusing me of not being aware of. It's more about the fact that if you're looking at it from a pure consumer standpoint, who is going to buy Dreams and play the games that people make in Dreams? They have to offer something, right? If you can't compare Avengers Endgame to a little shitty YouTube video that some fucking 12-year-old kids make that goes viral when they're just acting like assholes, but everybody thinks it's hilarious. Clearly, the Avengers is a much more polished product. It's a much more complete product. But what YouTube lets people do is still express something that people have decided is of great value. My kids will spend more time watching YouTube and would rather spend the weekend watching YouTube than go into a goddamn, $250 million action movie. So it's not that I think that Doom and games made in Dreams should be equatable, but the fun factor, the engagement factor, the worth my time factor, those are absolutely one-to-one. Those are absolutely competing. And my point is, as of now, Dreams is coming up extremely short when it comes to the engagement and fun factor with the games that are currently being listed as the best of breed on that program. What this ends up being, what I think a lot of people thought this was going to be, was YouTube for video games. But what it really turned out to be is basically an instrument. It's like, here's a guitar, little Billy. Here's a trumpet, Sally. Go learn how to play it. Well, that's really fucking hard to learn how to play an instrument. And to learn how to play an instrument well enough that other people actually want to listen to you because it's genuinely good, that's really fucking hard. Especially when those other people could just go to fucking Spotify and listen to professionals do it. This is what came to mind last night, which is kind of the classic cliche line where Malcolm in Jurassic says, you were so preoccupied with whether they could do it, you didn't stop to think if you should. To me, this is one of those things where Media Molecule probably executed on this vision leaps and bounds beyond the initial vision. They probably said, we're going to do this, Shuhei. We're going to do this, Sean Layton. And Layton and Shuhei were like, that sounds pretty tough, but give it a shot. And those guys went well above and beyond. They've made an amazing, inspiring piece of software. But ultimately, they've made something that nobody really wants, is what I will say. If you're so hardcore into making video games, or you want to be, go learn Unity. You can get a job. You can sell your game on the iPhone, on the Steam store, on the fucking PlayStation store. Go learn Unreal. Go learn Game Maker. But why would you spend the 4, 6, 8 months to become super proficient at this if you actually have talent? And frankly, most people don't have that talent. And it's seen by the fact that most of these games aren't very good as games. Cott says, I want to make games because I love games and not for trends. Sure, I understand. No one, but again, I'm not saying you shouldn't make games. If you want to make games, that's awesome. I'm talking about this as a product, right? The number of people who want to make video games and actually go up the steep learning curve of making a game just to execute it and then actually make it fun, That's a really fucking small number of people. And then you throw in the fact that most of those games aren't going to come close to what's on the market, which makes me think this is not going to be a successful product. That's all I'm saying. Maybe these people don't know they want to make games. This might be their launch into the world of game development, says Joe. Absolutely. If you can benefit from Dreams because you're like one of those people who love making games and this is something that is available to you personally, awesome. Or if you're a guy, a guy that my brother works with has a kid who reached out to me recently and said, oh, I want to get into making games. What do you recommend? He doesn't have a PC. He has a PS4. I said, well, try Dreams out, right? That audience will be beautifully, respectfully, fantastically served by this piece of software. I'm just saying that most people don't want that. They don't want to do that. Just like most people like going to a concert, but they don't want to learn to play a fucking guitar. Most people just want to be entertained. So who are you selling Dreams to? Dreams cannot have been an inexpensive product. It's beautiful. It's been in development forever. It's executed sublimely. I'm going to just go out on a limb and say $40 to $80 million to make this fucking game. And who are you making it for? 98% are going to wash out in the first day because it's too complicated. And that's going to leave that 98% hoping to be entertained by the games the community makes. So you're putting a real big risk on the fact that people who aren't professional game developers, hell, professional game developers don't get it right 90% of the time because it's fucking hard. Sony should make it free to play on PS4, says Look. That's a good idea. I don't think that's incorrect. I think that's a great idea. Cott says it's been in development for 5 years. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think they're going to take a bath on this fucking thing. Maybe because it's not the real purpose of Dreams, says Anton. I see it as a hub for high-level user-generated content due to the dynamic nature of which players can come back again and again for a few minutes of fun. Well, again, Anton, you may be right if ultimately I was playing it and having a few minutes of fun. Do you own it? Have you played it? I mean, if you go into the top 50 curated games by the guys who made Dreams, I don't want to play any of them for more than 3 minutes because they're fucking boring.